DEI Instructional Videos Sewing Series. In this series of instructional videos, you will learn how to hand sew, as well as learn about machines. May the power of sewing help you in your challenge.
So in this video, I will be explaining to you guys how to sew on beads and buttons. There's all different types of buttons. As you can see, there's all different shapes and sizes. Some are bigger, some are smaller, and then there's all different kinds of beads. But today I will be showing you guys how to use these kinds. This is another kind of button. It has a little end right here that you would sew through, and then this part would stick up and you would tie an elastic around the edge of it. So I have already gone ahead and threaded the needle and tied the knot in the end. If you guys don't remember how to do that, I'm sure that it's in the other videos. So we are going to start with the beads. So what you're going to do first is you're going to place on your fabric where you would like your bead to be. So I'm gonna put mine right here, and this part's a little bit tricky because you can't exactly see, but we are going to put the needle through the hole on the bead. And this might be helpful to use a thimble for this so that you don't poke your thumb. So you're going to poke the needle through the hole on the bead and thread it through the bottom of the fabric. You can thread it back through the same way, or you could loop it around on the other side of the fabric if you please. So basically we are just gonna keep on going like we just did. For these specific beads, they have a sort of unique shape. So I'm going to go wrap around the outside just so that it stays a little bit stronger. And then I will poke it back through and go around a different edge. The first few stitches are a little bit more difficult because you have to hold the bead in place while you thread, but once you get the first couple down, it goes by very quickly. So this is the finished product. As you can see, I wrapped around the outside and then brought it back through the middle. Like when you're sewing through fabric, you want to choose a thread that matches the bead that you're using because it will make it look more seamless. So to finish off this button or this bead, I'm just going to thread through a stitch that's already on the bottom, and like we did with the pillows, I'm just going to bring the needle through there and tie it in a knot, and then I will cut the excess off and we're done. Okay, so now I'm going to be showing you guys how to do buttons. As I said before, there's lots of different sizes. You can buy any size that you need. I'm just going to be showing you guys how to use this one. As you can see, there's 4 holes in it, and we're going to be using the same technique as we did for the bead. So I'm going to be using my thimble to start, just so that I don't poke myself when I go through for the first time. So you just, it doesn't matter which one you start with, but you want to poke through one of the holes on the button and pull through. So I have just threaded through all 4 in a sort of X shape, These first 4 stitches, like with the beads, are the most difficult because the button is still moving around. But after this, you just want to go back and forth. I like to go in the same orders just so that it looks more uniformed, but that's really all personal preference. So we just repeat the same steps going through each button, threading down and then back up. So I have just gone through a couple of different times, probably 3 or 4. You can use as much thread as you'd like, but the more thread that you use, the sturdier and more stable the button will be. I will use the same technique as I used with the beads. So I'm just threading it through the bottom one more time, and then picking any thread on the bottom to loop my needle through, and then bringing the thread through the loop that I've created and pulling tight. Then you will want to cut the excess, and you're done. So this is the finished product. Obviously, as we've said many times before, you'll want to use a thread that matches. So for this button, you would most likely use a white or a cream thread, but I use black just so that it's a little bit easier for you guys to see. And that's it.
Sewing is an extremely important part of DI. Anytime that you need to make costumes or scenery or any type of prop that uses fabric, you are most likely going to need to know how to sew. Some of you may be able to figure out some creative ways to get around sewing if you don't have access to a sewing machine or any of the necessary tools you need to learn how to hand sew. You might be able to figure out some creative ways to get around that. Throughout my 10 years of DI, I most likely sewed, dozens of things per challenge per year, and it has been such an important tool for me to use inside and outside of the DI world. I have been able to alter clothes that I have bought that don't fit me correctly. I have been able to, patch up some holes in old coats or old, pillowcases that need to be repaired. And I don't think that learning how to sew will ever have been something that will, not benefit me throughout my life and throughout my years of GI.